You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's great to be here with you today. Excited to get started on this Mindset and Motivation Monday episode. We are going to tie together a lot of big concepts today. A lot of those concepts that you may have heard about before, you've read about, or you've listened to on our Mindset Motivation Monday shows. So what I want to do is, as we tie the concepts together, you'll begin to see how you're going to move faster towards your goals than you ever have before, because you now understand that there's a process to this. And you also understand that there are certain things that are holding you back from where you want to be. So we can basically do two things to move faster to our goals. One is we can absolutely run faster, move faster, study faster, all of those things, those all work. However, a lot of the times we don't need to do that. We don't need to put as much pressure on ourselves and force ourselves to be in a position to succeed if we're also not adding those roadblocks. I mean, how many times have you really stopped and thought about, here's what I want to achieve. I've wanted these things now for quite some time. Why don't I have them? Very few people are taking the time to actually ask that question. And I've been doing a lot more of that in my own life. So I've been realizing that anything that I'm looking to achieve myself, what are my main blocks mentally or physically, meaning my physical would be more of my nervous system, and my brain would be more of the intellect, right? That would be the more of the mental block. So what is it that's holding me back from honestly achieving anything that I desire, especially if I've wanted it for quite some time? So what I want you to think about right now is, what's the first thing that comes to your mind of something that you've wanted to achieve for at least a couple months, if not a couple years? So just think about that for a moment. What pops in your head right now as I say, what have you wanted to achieve for quite some time now, but you haven't been able to do it? It should pop right into your mind. If you're really thinking about it, we all have something. So now ask yourself, instead of what do you need to do to work towards it, I want you to ask yourself this right now. What are you doing, potentially subconsciously, and we're going to talk about that, that's not allowing you to accept that in your life? What is it that's blocking you? Let me give you an example. There's a lot of people out there right now, a lot of people, and they want to lose 50, 60, 100 pounds. And they've tried it before. They've tried all sorts of different things that have worked for many other people they know, but it has not worked for them. I always ask this as well, and I say, I don't know that this is the issue, but I want to help people as much as I can to the best of my ability. And I really feel like sometimes I also want to give a little bit of tough love. And I have to gauge that based on the individual, and I tell my health coaches to do the same. So like every once in a while on the Cabral House Call weekend shows, you'll hear me give a little bit of tough love to the person. And the reason is that you have to look at a person in each individual light. If they're pushing back on you, and you'll learn this as a practitioner or a therapist or anyone, is someone, if they're trying to meet you with force, you can do two things. One is you can push back with equal force. You can accept the energy. You can then respond in a different way. You can hold up a different mirror to the person, whatever it might be. But some people actually need to be saying, listen, what we need to do is really examine not the blame on everybody else. Not everybody needs to be blamed. And you don't need to blame yourself. But what you need to do is stop pointing fingers at others and just say, hey, what is inside of me that might be holding me back? I mean, that's the best place to look. You're with yourself for 168 hours per week, right? 24 hours a day. And yes, that does include your sleep, but we're going to be talking about that in one moment. What is it inside of you that may not be allowing you to lose the 50 and 60 pounds? Again, this is just one example. I'm going to go through a bunch of examples, so please do not be offended. We're going to go through a lot right now. So what I ask you is this. Could it be something where it goes back to childhood or even the friends that you're associating with right now? I've worked with many people, and the group that they're with right now, everyone is a little bit overweight. So they fear subconsciously that if they were to lose the weight, if they were to get into their best shape for themselves, for their overall health, and you know that's what we shoot for, then they might feel that they wouldn't be accepted by their friends. And maybe it's true and maybe it's not. But that's a really important thing to look at because that is literally called fear of success. What if you are successful? What if you absolutely do achieve your goals and you get your best shape, you lose that 50, 60 pounds, you feel great, you're lighter, you have less joint pain, less inflammation, you sleep better, no sleep apnea, skin clears up, thyroid's improved, right? Digestion's better, all of those things. Because you need to do that things that make you healthy that help you to lose the weight ultimately. That's what it's all about. So I ask you then, what is holding you back? Now, maybe, very possibly true, you just haven't found the right plan yet, right? You just haven't found the right detox, nutrition, hormone, exercise, etc. That is possible. That's possible. But oftentimes, and I would say more times than not, it's not just the knowledge that might be lacking to get to the goal, but there is some type of internal block. And I want you to begin to just simply not judge what that block is, but simply to think about it, not even accept it. It is there. And then as you begin to work on that, you can start to journal about it. Like, what are my biggest fears? What is the worst case scenario that would happen if that were to actually become true? In this scenario, would my friends really not accept me? Would they really not accept me forever? Would it maybe take a couple weeks to a couple months? Or, as I see them so often, and as I'm starting to gradually lose weight and they notice and they ask, maybe even it's a little bit of joking at first, because I've gone through that as well. Like, what's this new diet that you're on? As I started to get healthier. And then what I noticed was this, and I hope that your friends would follow along, is they then want to be a part of that. They then want to experience the same happiness, joy, fulfillment of you achieving one of your goals. And the goals does not have to be weight loss. Another example would be this. Let's say that all of a sudden, career-wise, your career starts to take off. Again, this is a goal of yours. Why hasn't your career taken off? It might be another question to ask. And again, maybe it goes back to family. Maybe this time, everyone in your family only achieved a certain level of success. So if you begin to achieve even more success, what would your family say about you? How would they look at you? Would they judge you? And oftentimes, this holds people back and it keeps them at a certain plane, at a certain level, because they don't want to outshine, right? They don't want to outperform anyone else. And what happens is this, then everyone continues to play in the same field. But if one person is able to rise above, but they can also then begin to give back, they can teach, listen, this is what I did. It might not be the right path for you, but here's how I did it. And I'd love to be able to show you if you're interested. That is what it's called, paying it forward. So important to look at that. Same thing with relationships. What if you just seem to go from one relationship to another and none of them ever seem to work out? Well, is it every person that you're meeting, right? Are you that person that just meets every wrong person? Or is it possible that it might be something inside of you? Not that you're the bad person, but you are literally attracting the people that cause this type of a angst or improper, imbalanced relationship for you. Why are you attracting those specific people? What happened in your life, your childhood? What might it be that's causing you to play this back on loop? Those are all things I want you to begin to examine. Now, my practice, for the most part, we're always looking at wellness. Well, if we run the protocols and we run the organic acids test and we run the stool test and the food sensitivity test and we cleared up all their gut issues, there's no more candida, there's no more SIBO, no more parasites, H. pylori, the food sensitivities are corrected because we ran the relab tests. What was that called? We retested those labs, right? And then we found out that those things don't exist anymore, but yet the person sometimes still feels a little queasy to their stomach. They sometimes still get a little constipated, sometimes still feel a little nauseous. Well, at this point, we really need to look at something more. What is it with their own internal stress or anxiety that they don't even know about, that they're not even cognizant of, that's holding them back from the wellness that they want? In this case, digestive-based issues. So I want you to look at this in two parts because I'm about to go on a little bit different of a sidetrack because I need you to know both of that, okay? So here's what I want to share with you. More than likely, if you've been trying to achieve something for some time, there is a blockage, internal, physical, neurological, that's deep down in the subconscious that is not allowing you to achieve that goal. Now, if you've never worked towards the goal, of course, you might just need to put in that work. That's absolutely true, right? Or you just haven't put in enough of the work. That can absolutely be the case. But I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, there is a mental besides the physical. Besides actually doing the actions, right, doing the work, there's actually a mental-based blockage. So what I want to invite you to do is that if you work on both the mental and the physical side, and you really look at that, you'll be able to manifest those goals, whatever they are in your life, at a much faster rate. Because you'll be doing the work, but you also won't have to run around so many obstacles. And the best part is that it's going to stick. Because there's a lot of people that do achieve their goal, but if they never work on the mental aspect of it, that's when they slide, right? So they lost the 60 pounds, but 6 months later, they gained it all back when they went through a stressful time in their life. Or they got well, but then they went right back to emotional-based eating, or their job or the relationship was stressful, and that ultimately made them sick again. Or the person thought that this was the right person for them, and then again, started to go back in the same exact patterns. So we don't want history to continue to repeat itself. We want to do the work. We want to follow the blueprint that we know will be successful, but that you simply get from mentoring, or I should say modeling someone else's blueprint that they've already done, right? So when I wanted to learn more about Ayurvedic medicine or naturopathic medicine, or I wanted to get well, or I wanted to get my best shape ever, I followed someone else's plan, someone that's already done it before, right? When I wanted to start podcasting, I simply followed other people's plans. I can always make it my own in the end, but I need to start somewhere. So that's the easy part. I mean, literally getting a plan is the easy part, right? We offer those. Every single other podcast, I talk about that, like how can we help you, right? Or how can you find that help? So now the other part to work on is the blockage. And what I want to really share with you now is that, a lot of people have heard about the law of attraction, and, it gives people a little bit of a bad feeling sometimes, like, oh, what is this thing, the law of attraction? But I don't like to think of it in more of a kind of media-based, media hype way. I want you to think of it literally in getting in vibratory frequency with that of which you desire. And so this we actually know. This is quantum mechanics. This is quantum entanglement. This is your ability, no matter where you are in time-space, to connect with anything else that you are vibrating with on the same level with. And we know this through science. This is actually true. This is physics. So as you vibrate at a certain level, the thing that you want, which has a certain vibratory mechanism, is also vibrating. Now, two things that literally vibe at the same frequency will be connected. There's a book called Frequency on this. There's many books on this, and it goes through the science of that. Well, one little book that I've read many times, but I actually just have read, I can't say everything by this particular author, but Neville Goddard. I read the Neville Reader many, many years ago, and this is a huge book. I think it's like 1,200 pages. And it just basically goes through Neville Goddard's teachings. Well, this little book is tiny. It might take you an hour to read. It's about, 40 pages or so? No, it's only about 35 pages. It's called Feeling is the Secret. If you've never heard about it before, it's not easy to read because these books, I don't know exactly when they're written, but I know Neville Goddard was more of like the early 1900s, I believe. So what I really want you to think about and take away if you never read the book is this, is that many of the people who are doing the right things in terms of kind of creating the vision boards, right, of what they want to connect with, and they're saying the right things, and they're creating a mantra of what they want to achieve. Let's just say it's, I want to lose 60 pounds. I really want to lose 60 pounds. My goal is to lose 60 pounds. I'm going to lose 60 pounds within the next 6 months. I'm going to lose 10 pounds a month. I can do that. I know how to do that. I'm going to follow this plan, right? So they keep telling themselves, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose it. I need to lose it. I want to lose it. But here's the thing. There's actually an enormous difference between telling yourself that you want to achieve a goal and actually believing it, right? There's this thing called cognitive dissonance where it's like you're saying it, you know that you want it, you're looking at the photos, but inside of you, it doesn't believe it. And you know that that's true a lot of the times for you, right? So you're like, you set these goals up for yourself and you say, this is what I want, this is what I'm all about. But then you never really follow through, or it ends up always falling apart And there's one basic tenet and reason for this. And the reason is that you don't actually feel like the person who can achieve that goal, or you actually fear that success, or you fear the failure. But either way, you don't embody that goal. So for example, if you are the person who believes that they're going to lose the 60 pounds, and you truly believe it, deep down, you believe this, you're going to start feeling the way of the person that has already achieved that goal. So much so that for you, eating right, exercising, that's just part of the equation. It's part of who you are. You're not forcing it to happen. You're not making yourself do it because you're living that life now. You are literally that person. Now, your goal just hasn't come to fruition yet, but you're already getting yourself into the state, the emotionally charged state of feeling the happiness, the joy, the success of what it would be like when you lost that 60 pounds, right? You're putting a number on it. Okay, I'm 220 pounds now and I want to get down to 160 pounds. You're actually feeling what it would be like to be back in that 160-pound body, of how it feels when your clothes fit, of what it feels like to get out of bed in the morning, of how much easier it is to go up a flight of stairs. All of those things, you're actually feeling that. You have a smile on your face. You're enjoying it. And then you go out and you're actually shopping for the clothes of what you will need when you've already achieved your goal. And you might say, well, that sounds crazy. You haven't achieved it yet. But if you're saying that, then you're already not in the mindset that it's already done. In order to achieve a big goal, that's actually something that's a real challenge for you, you already need to get into that mindset. It already has to be a done deal. So for the person that wants to go from 220 pounds to 160 pounds, they're already going and shopping for whatever size it might be for when they're at 160 pounds. And they're already in the mindset that this is not a waste of money, because what if they don't actually get to that weight? They know that it's a foregone conclusion. That of course they're going to pick out the clothes now, because it's only a matter of time before they begin to fit in those clothes, right? That they begin to try them on. And this is just one example. This is not about vanity. This is about achieving a goal that someone sets for themselves. And who am I for all the thousands of people that I've worked with that this is not an adequate or fair goal? It absolutely is. Your goals may just be different, right? So your goal might be, and let's say you have someone with Addison's disease, like I had, a chronic fatigue syndrome or myalgic encephalomyelitis or anything. And you say, you know what? Wouldn't it be amazing if I could train for a triathlon, right? And I would suggest a sprint triathlon, not an Ironman, which is not healthy for the human body. But what you'll do is you'll say, now this is so crazy. I have no energy now. I can't even get out of bed. How could I even imagine training for a triathlon? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out and you're going to make that first commitment to yourself. And you're going to say, okay, I can only literally walk 2,000 steps a day. And you'll say, no problem. 2,000 steps this week. Next week is 2,500 steps a day, right? So you go from 2,000 steps a day to 2,500 steps a day. What's 500 more steps? It's about 5 minutes of walking, right? You can do 5 minutes of walking, because you might even split that up to 1 minute an hour, right? And then over the course of 5 hours, you just do 1 minute. And you're just going to gradually work your way up. Now you say, well, how would that ever get me ready for a sprint triathlon? Well, you have to first begin to walk those 10,000 steps before you can even start to run. And you also then need to be able to do a little bit of biking. So your next purchase might be an exercise bike, an indoor or outdoor bike. And you might actually then start to get the gear, right? You might start to get the special padded spandex shorts, right? You might start to get a nice dry fit shirt so that you can go out for those bike rides. You're already starting to see it. You might sign up for a triathlon-based magazine. You might start reading a book on triathlons. And what you're doing is you're now putting your mindset, instead of someone that's weak, that's not able to do this, but actually someone that is capable of it. That again, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you're ready for it. You're open for it to happen at any time, and you're going to begin to work towards that goal. This is a lot of what I had to do for myself as well. My body was it was broken down. It was decrepit. It really was. I was a 17 and all the way through my early 20s of a body that would relapse all the time, that had joint pain all of the time, that I had hot flashes, that I would rapidly lose 15 pounds like in just a week or two. I mean, it was massive catabolism in my body. And I would start to gain it back, and then it would just wipe me out. And I'd be left in bed and I had no appetite. And I would just lose again the 15 pounds or so. So this would go on and on. But every time I would begin to read bodybuilding-based magazines. And those magazines, I would read about people's workouts, and it would start to give me a little bit of hope that I was like, hey, I'm going to be able to do this. And then I would go back to the gym, and I would push too hard. That was something that I should not have done. but it got me back in that right mindset. So I always tell people that, sure, I could not heal my insides. I didn't know how. I was too young. I hadn't met the right people, right? I wasn't in the right mindset. But what I could work on was my body. And that's why I tell people all the time that for me, the gym was a refuge that I was able to kind of get away from my own mind. And it was a place that I would spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in. And I'm very thankful for it. I really love it to this day. I love that's kind of like a nice place for me to kind of get away, to say, this is where it all started. And the same thing goes for whatever you're trying to achieve. But I can tell you this, that it is very difficult to achieve a goal that you've never been able to fathom or really believe that it's meant for you in your life, right? It's almost a dream. It's like, wouldn't that be great if that happened, right? Well, I'm telling you right now, if you can dream it, you can absolutely bring it into reality. And I'm not the type of person that says it will happen tomorrow, but what I'm saying is you can absolutely bring it in your life. I truly believe that. I mean, there's almost nothing you cannot achieve. But we have to do two things. One is we have to be willing to pay the price for whatever it is. That means simply the sacrifice of whatever it's going to be, right? The sacrifice is what? Well, the sacrifice is if you want to lose 60 pounds, just because it's an easy example, we have to cut out the processed food in the diet. If you're drinking a lot of soda or sugary drinks, we have to switch over to water, right? Those are sacrifices. But the sacrifices are paid because you begin to become the person who does the things that will achieve the goal of losing that 60 pounds, right? So those are the sacrifices, but they're fair. It's a fair price to pay in life. I'm going to talk more about this on a future Mindset and Motivation Monday. So if you're willing to pay the price, great. Then it's yours. It's really already yours, except for this. There may be some type of block, and most likely there is for every single one of us with a goal that's outside of our comfort zone. So again, we can cut out the photos, we can dream about it, we can imagine it, we can really start to say that we want that. And those are all the first step. It is. But at some point, I'm going to give you a quote right now. At some point, we need to do this, that your desires are not subconsciously accepted until you assume the feeling of their reality. So again, this is by Neville Goddard, and Feeling is a Secret. I just wanted to bring you this one passage. Your desires are not subconsciously accepted until you assume the feeling of their reality. For only through feeling is an idea subconsciously accepted, and only through the subconscious acceptance is it ever expressed. So we talk a lot about the subconscious mind on our Motivation and Mindset Mondays, but it means this. If you don't feel yourself really stepping into the goal weight, the goal wellness, the goal relationship, the goal career, or the goal spirituality, if you cannot physically and use all of your senses, your sight, your smell, your taste, your touch, if you cannot feel yourself having already achieved that goal and already living that life, it is going to be difficult for you to achieve it. Now, you can do what I've done along the way, which is achieve something smaller, right? A smaller win on the way to that goal. And then I feel it and I say, oh, I achieved it. This feels great. I actually stop and I say, thank you. You know, I'm very grateful that I was able to achieve this. I'm just basically thanking the universe. I'm thanking everything out there. Call it God, call it universe, whatever you like to say, that's fantastic. But you're thanking the higher power out there. And you're giving thanks and you're being grateful. That's another key to achieving your goals. But you feel that for a moment. And then you say, you know what? That's at the moment. When you get that win, at that moment, I feel it. And you say, okay, if I achieve this, I can achieve the next step. And you begin to work and then you feel the feeling of achieving the next step. Because remember, if you continue to work the process, you're eventually going to get there. And this is what so many people miss. So after you lose your first 2 pounds that first week on your way to losing 60 pounds, feel the excitements that you're down 2 pounds. I know it's only 2 pounds out of 60, but you have to feel the accomplishment that you are already moving towards those goals and that it's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's simply a matter of time. It is a matter of how quickly can I make this happen? There is no set date for you. You have to understand that. You don't necessarily step into your goals in a specific month and in a given when. The when happens faster the more you work your plan while not encountering any of those mental roadblocks you set up for yourself. Inevitability, I'm telling you, this is the big word for the podcast. You will be successful. Your success is inevitable as long as you work the process that we've known about since the dawn of time. It's been written about in every major religion. It's written about all through the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament. Everywhere you look, it is ingrained into us that we have to believe. We have to use faith. Faith not just in a higher power, but faith in ourselves. The power within, right? The power that we're able to achieve anything that we set up for ourselves. I truly believe that. And that's why I love going back through these old books, because I say they already knew. Everybody already knew out there how to manifest your goals. So all we need to do ourselves is this. And sometimes it's best just to put it in simple terms. We need to find a blueprint. We need to find a plan. We need to find a mentor, a coach, whatever it is. We need to then begin to work that plan and feel as if we've already achieved our goal, that it's already been done, that we remove the roadblocks that are stopping us from simply stepping into that which we desire, but also that which we deserve. So we're going to end the show with this, that if you begin to work the plan will continue to unfold itself to you. And as you begin to feel the feeling, it will impress upon your subconscious that you are deserving of this, and that will give you the thoughts and the feeling to continue to move forward. At that point, your success is inevitable. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you listening. And as always, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.